Hello, everybody. It's Laura Victoria Ward here with Inner Outer Space in my Zoom room with some other people on my back porch. And I'm going to hope that my computer has enough juice because I'm going to now unplug it. There we go. So as we get started with everybody who's in the room, is there anything that you're particularly interested in pursuing today? Because I thought we might go back and review a bunch of like real just space stuff, or we could go in another direction depending on where you are and what you're feeling. So I see that Abby is in the ridiculosity department with their upside down hummingbird. How about you, Walter and Kathleen? Anything?
Suits me well to go back and do the space.
The scales?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think we'll do a review of space and scales, and then we'll see what we get into. But before we get there, let's do it in a sort of more meditational manner. Just finding your, however you are, if you want to sit, stand, lay down, any version of being a person, a human in a body, in any way that feels good and easy. And as you're in that place, I'm going to start with this, just letting your eyes pan the horizon so that you're looking around. Like I have this, I'm in my back porch, I can see pretty far in one direction, my house on the other side. So let your gaze take in the depth, things that are close, things that are far. If you can't see anything that's really far away, then by all means, imagine it. Imagine that you're like looking out at, at an ocean horizon or up at a mountain or something that you can imagine being far away. Or if you can see something, maybe a cloud that's very far away, and then something closer up. So you're just letting your vision go far, near, far, near. And then allow yourself just to keep turning your head from side to side and doing that without having to think about it. Other things are just going to come into your eyes. You don't need to then decide if they're close or far. You're just seeing what's out there, allowing it to come to you. So the vision isn't an effort. You don't need to work hard for it to happen. It's just happening because your eyes are open, seeing what's around you. And then let's close our eyes and feel into the movement of your head on top of your spine. So even with your eyes closed, feeling the depth of the space of front to back of your body, the side, the diagonal space, the up, down, just feeling the volume of the space of your body. And as you're turning your head from side to side, very slowly, feeling into the sensation of that three-dimensionality of your body. It doesn't have to go far. You can make this smaller if that feels more comfortable. And it can even start to go slower and slower. So feeling into the sensation of your head turning from side to side. And imagining that it's as effortless as possible. So as soon as you get to a part of the turn of your head where it feels like you actually have to do something, then turn the other way. So it doesn't have to be a big stretch or anything like that. Like you're just finding a sense of ease or imagined ease in your head turning from side to side. And as you're in that space, it can become smaller and smaller if that feels good or not, or slower and slower if that feels good. Just noticing what comes into your own awareness as you're turning your head from side to side. What body parts or sounds or sensations do you notice? And if you find that you have a whole sort of story of other things going on or any kind of fantasies about what happened before or what might happen later or anything like that, see if you can just tune back into actual physical sensation. So feeling things. So let the story just drop away. Let it fall and dissipate and disappear, and just coming back to the here and now of feeling sensation in your body. And as we continue on here, start to let the movement get smaller and smaller. The movement in your head can get almost so small that it's almost imperceptible. And start to allow it to become so small that anybody looking at you would really have to look to see if something was happening. So you're just refining focus in a way, just refining focus into sensation by creating the smallest movement and allowing yourself to become very interested in how small you can make that movement. How imperceptible can it be that you can still perceive that it's actually happening? And now, if it's possible to stay with that tiny little, almost imperceptible movement, and at the same time, be aware of the wholeness of your entire body. So you're kind of, it might be titration where you're going back and forth, or it might be that you can hold these two things at the same time, the awareness of your whole body and the smallest, tiniest movement. Or maybe it's a going back and forth between what are you noticing in your whole body, and then what are you noticing in this small, tiny movement. And just staying with that for a couple of breaths. So turning your head as small and tiny as you can and being aware of the space around you, the space inside of you, and that tiny, tiny movement. And then let that movement come into stillness. And just take a couple of breaths there. And so in the stillness of that head turning from side to side, letting that come just to one place, feel the movement of your breath inside your body and feel how expansive that can be. So allow your belly to really relax, allow your pelvis to relax, allow your back to relax, and let the breath like really move down into your pelvis, or allow the breath to move so deep into your lungs and diaphragm that then you feel the movement in your pelvis all the way down to the base of your pelvis. And starting to imagine that that breath is sort of like a growing and shrinking. So almost as if your whole your whole being is a bubble. And on the inhale, the whole bubble gets bigger. And on the exhale, the whole bubble gets smaller. And as you're in that bubble breathing, whole body getting bigger and smaller, every cell breathing in and out, if any other sorts of sensations or body awarenesses come online, just let them be there. You don't have to put all your focus there. You can stay sort of with the breathing, but you can also maybe feel other things that are happening. And then from that place where we sort of stilled the whole spine, imagine that you're underwater. That's not too scary or uncomfortable. Imagine that you're in like the sea grasses and you're just letting the movement of the water around you mobilize your spine. So you can breathe. It's not a drowning situation here. It's just you're letting the movement of the water in your body be informed as if you were in some actual water. And you're just inviting in micro movement and freedom in the whole spine, in the whole body, really, in all the cells and all the tissue, to have this sort of watery, very three-dimensional fluid mobility, which can really meander and eddy and whirl around in any way that feels good and interesting, as if you're just allowing maybe gentle waves to crash on your body or inside your body, or sort of those water river grasses that have that fluid movement, just letting that movement, inviting it into your body so you have this sensation of micro movement. And it's micro movement that isn't, you aren't planning it or designing it, you're just allowing it. You're just tuning into this rhythm of possibility and also what feels interesting and yummy. So this fluid body of water that really is your body has more freedom. Whatever sort of holding patterns of being you as a person are there, let them sort of just melt and drop away, that you can let go of that for a little while and just tune into this fluidity, into this watery nature. And then from that watery, free-flowing place, start to tune into the bones, sort of the density of your bones, but even that your bones have water in them. Even your bones are filled with water, and the marrow has a certain sense of fluidity to it, more water than the actual denser material of the bone. So we've got this sort of more grounded water, more earthy water inside our bodies, which is really helping maintain our form. And as you start to tune into that, become very aware of the vertical dimension, the up and downness of your body. So feeling, you could even start to breathe into that, lengthening and shortening with the breath, finding that up and downness. And if we looked at like, Tai Chi or something, we could think of it as the heaven and earth, right? What's above and what's below. And we're right there in the middle, balancing it all out. And then starting to tune into the sideness. And you can start to add the arms if you feel like up for more exploration, letting yourself find the side space, reaching from one side to the other, finding the horizontal. And you could do it with the river grass quality or with the sort of dense bone quality, whatever feels that earthy quality or the fluid rivery quality, however that feels interesting, just letting yourself find that sideness. And it could be in your imagination, it could be in your movement. We could also talk about widening and narrowing. So we're either expanding out and getting very wide, or kind of narrowing in and coming into ourselves. So that widening and narrowing language is very much in the Bartenieff and in the sort of shape flow and shaping language of Laban. And if you want to exaggerate it, you can even cross in the front. So you could give yourself a big hug, or even crossing your arms and legs so that we're really narrowing in. Yeah, which if we were practicing Mark Walsh's EYP, embodied yoga principles, this would be a self-care pose that we're in if we cross all the way, holding onto ourselves, giving ourselves that hug. And then we can also open up and take up space. Yeah, feeling that expansion. So we've done our vertical, we've done our horizontal. Let's move into the sagittal, the front, back, and let's actually be aware of each other as we come into the forward and backward. And like this need for community, right? Like how do we move into community? Like normally in Laban, we'd say it's in the horizontal, but because now we've had this different relationship with the Zoom or with the screen, it could be like I move forward or I back away. I feel, yeah, moving in and out, finding the sagittal. But it could also just be cat-cow, right? We could open forward into it and then take it back. And feeling what that feels like. I feel super safe with all of you, and even my TV audience, who I don't know, which isn't very big. But yeah, opening into that space. Letting yourself share in that heart-lung space together. And then also feeling it in the back, right? If I move forward, heart lungs opening here. If I move back, heart lungs opening there. So even retreating can open our heart. Going forward can open our heart. Going backward can open our heart. It's just opening it in different ways. Yeah. So let's let that come into actual movement with the scales. And you can participate on this as big or as small as you want to. If you want to stay seated, by all means, stay seated. But I'm going to stand and do this with my whole body. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. But I'm going to do the actual movement scales. And I'm just going to start with, well, it'll be my left arm, but maybe you're right if you're mirroring me, reaching to place high and place low. So really finding this vertical dimension up and down. And when I go up, I'm even going onto releve on my feet. I'm lifting my heels off the floor and down. And one more, finding that up and down. Good. And then changing to the other side. So other side, reaching as high as you can go, and then low. And it's interesting, like what do we have with the associations of going up and the associations of going down, right? Like there's this idea of transcending as we go up, and then maybe planting something, planting seeds, or letting go of something as we go down. So just tuning into what comes up for you in the high place, what comes up for you in the low place. Do you have like preferences? Yeah. Feeling what that is, maybe going with both, reaching high, opening up, and then taking it back down. Like it's super heaven and earthy for me. Like there's that connecting heaven and earth business, which as an actual pagan and very non-religious person, the heaven and earth really works for me. So take that as it works for you. And let's move into horizontal now. So I'm going to go with my left hand. If you want to mirror me, you'll be doing your right. You're going to cross arm and leg and open wide, crossing over. So the horizontal side across and side open, or right side, left side, or left side, right side, depending on what you're doing there. And opening and crossing and opening. And I'm really aware of my weight shift on this leg, coming all the way and then up through the middle leg to the other leg, my middle leg, because I have 3 legs, crossing over and opening wide. And then we're going to do the other side. So going with the other side, crossing over and opening wide. Side across and side open, side across and side open, side across and side open. Yeah. And then let's go with the sagittal. So I'll go again with my left hand. It'll be your right if you're mirroring. I'm going to take it backwards, right behind me, trying to keep my hips pointing front, and then straight in front of me. Right back, middle, sorry. It's just backwards, middle, forward, middle. Or we could just say backward and forward, and we're dealing with the sagittal. And we're imagining there's a point in the front, and we're taking it straight back to a point behind us, moving through from one to the other with the most direct pathway possible. Yeah, and then let's go with the other side, same thing, other side of the body, taking it back and forward. So if I stabilize my hips enough that they're pretty much pointing front, I'm going to get a lot of nice twisting in my spine as I do this. My opposite arm is going to work as a counterbalance or a counter tension, helping reach in both directions at the same time. Backwards, yeah, and forwards, and one more. Backwards and forwards. Good. And then shaking that out. So it's interesting. A lot of times, like I have a dance company, I'm working with my dancers, and I'll be like, okay, make up a little phrase, like just make up a short phrase. And it's very often that like one like might start, this is my right high, but it's very common to start in high right, or like it's or down low, place low, or it's just interesting to look at what our preferences are. Like if we were to make a little phrase, where would you want it to start? And it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to just be in the up, down, side, side, forward, backward. Like if you were going to make a dance, or if your body hungers to be in some other direction, what direction is it? Or is it a crossed? We've talked about how different the crossed stuff is compared to the open things, right? Crossing to the back, crossing to the back. Just playing with, giving yourself some freedom to play in the space around you without having to know what it is. And see, is there anything, any unexplored place that's interesting to get to? Yeah. And then let's take it into, let's do the whole scale. So I'm going to put the whole scale together, and I'm just going to show you, as I often do, my little dice. This is an octahedron. So between my fingers right now, up and down, that's the vertical. Side, side, between my fingers now, that's the horizontal. And between my fingers now for my body, that's the forward, backward, sagittal. So this shape, this octahedron, shows the scaffolding of this scale of movement, the vertical, the horizontal, and the sagittal. It's a tiny little dice. It's not the big thing, but if I move inside of that, I'm going to have up, down, side, side, backward, forward. So I'm going to start with my left hand. It'll be your right if you're mirroring. I'm going to go place high, place low, side across, side open, and then taking it backwards. Yeah, and forwards. Nice. Same thing, same side. Vertical, high and low, same arm, crossing over, opening wide. And I'm just leaving the other side out of it for right now. Backwards and forwards, although I could be doing the other side as a counter tension. One more time like that. Place high, place low, vertical, side across, side open, horizontal, backwards and forwards, sagittal. Yes, nice. Let's try it with the other side. So vertical, place high, place low, side across, side open, horizontal, taking it backwards and forwards, sagittal. Yeah. Repeating one more time. Up and down, vertical, side across, side open, horizontal, backwards, forwards, sagittal. One more time. Place high, place low, vertical, side across, side open, horizontal, backwards, forwards, sagittal. All right, let's come in and let's discuss. Preferences, things you noticed. We haven't done this for a while, how it is now. Welcome, Peen, nice to see you.
Yeah, I wanted to make the rotation. That was my preference. And all of a sudden, I was so grateful that I'm able to move. So I was just very grateful, like just doing movements, just moving. That made me very, yeah. So I'm.
Nice.
So I also enjoyed, because since we started with very small, I then enjoyed the stretching of that. And when you spoke about how, so something that we like, it's to start a movement. Oftentimes I start a little dance that I'm doing right high. Oftentimes. Yes. So I was thinking, very usual, very typical. Yeah, it's just a nice feeling to reach up and up and away, up and away.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've started there. It's like, I just want to go there. Yeah.
Yes.
The beginning, I'm sort of stuck here in this desk in a corner of the room. And so I closed my eyes. I went to Cozumel and I looked out over the west side of the island. It was like I was there. For some reason, it just came to me. And then the movements, we do authentic movement at dance camp. Today was the registration for dance camp and beginning of registration. And one of the classes I've taken is authentic movement. It was very much like authentic movement, just going down small movement to small and then expanding it. So it was, I opened myself this morning or this noontime.
Nice. That's beautiful. I love that. I've got to give you a heart for that. Abby.
I wanted to say that at the beginning, when we were doing that micro movements and moving the head side to side, I imagined like a cantilever, like even though I'm moving it left, and instead of feeling like sensation here, it's like, oh, we're getting to something that's a little more sticky. And then as I closed my eyes to move, there was and to do the sequencing, I really favored my left. Like everything I wanted to start with left this, left that. And I was like, interesting. It's a lefty kind of day.
Are you a lefty?
No, I'm right-handed. I do both. I'll play like, golf with my left, tennis with my left, brush my teeth with my left. But today was just left, left, left.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I felt really like I was most interested in the vertical today, and like the sort of transcendence, and then also like the planting seeds and releasing, and like the creative nature of going down to the earth. And I also, like, a couple of just side notes. It was just the solstice, right? Summer solstice. And we had a full moon, which is amazing last night. And I heard from Patricia Aguirre, who's one of my cohort, that yesterday was like the witches' day. It's like the day of San Juan or something like that. She found out in Spain. She's Mexican, but when she was in Spain, she found out that this was like a day for witches. Like it's like got all these pagan ritual things. And so yesterday, me and my boyfriend were talking, well, all of this, there's all of this stuff going on. Like we should do some, ritual magic or some kind of magic to, create life that we want. But I was like, well, I'm pretty much doing everything that I like doing. Like I'm in it. It's all happening. So, and the interesting thing is I've been taking this meditation course from a friend of mine who I've known since I was 15 years old. And he's one of Shinzen's main students, and he's written a book with Shinzen, and he's written his own meditation book. And he's got a bunch of stuff online under Deconstructing Yourself. His name is Michael Taft. And I was taking his class yesterday, and one thing that we're talking about is like the vast sky, the vast sky mind and the ground of being, and how much these words are like already lived experiences in my body. So it's like when we're meditating, sometimes the words, I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing that now. But anyway, why am I saying this? This was coming back into the meditation and the space, and then I sort of lost it. Maybe it'll come back, but it's about that, like language and body, and how like it's this ongoing expression. Also, the word cantilever, I love that word. I love buildings that have cantilevered things. And if you look at like our head, it could be the cantilever, right? It could be going out behind us, especially if we really reach into back high. So just throwing that out there. Yeah, Michael Taft, you got it. I was going to say something more about that, but I can't remember what it was. I just feel like there's this connection to, like, I mean, so much meditation is really just sit still and be there and be present. But when I've come into my body in all these different ways and brought all of this sort of life energy into my sense of being, it makes the meditations and the words that are meditation words really potent. So I guess that's what it was, because I was thinking about going down to the ground in this fecund thing and the witch's day and doing all these things, right? Like, are we doing the things that we want to be doing in our life? And like when we come into our own embodiment, as you said, Walter, you're going to go to your dance camp. It's like, what are the things that enrich us? And how much are we allowing ourselves to do that? Like how much planting and how much time around there in the mud do you need to spend to really blossom, to really be able to blossom your flower? I feel like this has been kind of, this whole pandemic period has been, since we've been so limited in what we can do, it's been a chance to kind of cull through in a very, not in an easy way, because things that happen easily just often fall away, but in sort of more of a difficult way. We've been in this like, oh, you can't do anything, which to some people is a wonderful thing. But for most of us, it's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? What do I want? What do I need? So coming down to the ground and finding like the inspiration, but also the earthiness of this. And in the meditation, the ground of being is a big one. So what is that? It's such good wordage for me to find myself and that groundedness in the vertical. That's my big spiel, my big tangent of sort of finding how the idea of this movement in space can be related and relational in so many different ways. So do we want to spend more time going with more space stuff, or do we want to have more free flow stuff, maybe playing with music? What do we think? What the heck? Debbie's like, yes. Let's do some music stuff. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to play with this idea of going out and coming back in. So one more idea that that keeps coming up in all the meditation stuff is this idea of like grasping for something, reaching out for something. So let's work with really grasping for something, and then letting that go. Because sometimes in movement, it's effortless and it can just happen. Like it doesn't feel like there is any effort. It's just things rise, they move. So playing between these ideas of really reaching and efforting, and then allowing and following. So I think like that's one beauty of partner dancing, is sometimes you can just be in the following and the arising of what's happening. And I think the more time you spend in sort of meditational embodiment practices, the more you can just find that you're your own partner, and there is this rising and falling of things and this interest of following movement. So that's kind of a lot, but let's just do a free flow. Those are a lot of ideas to play with. Let's do a free flow dance with that idea. And I will share audio and give you some music. So again, this is also going to be music from that album that we used last time, which is, I will put it in the, which is actually music that I used for one of my dance shows that was composed by a French composer who was my collaborator for a long time. All right. Here's the song. This is really short. It's like 1 minute and 28 seconds. So I'm not going to talk, and we can just dance in any way. Grasp, don't grasp, just play. I'm going to let that move into the next one. Just a little more abstract. can change it to something else. Let's do one more song before we, I have some of these that are similar, they're the same songs, but they're with words, the way that we use them in the show. And I want to add them with words so you can feel what that is like.
I had a dream that you came here last night.
But you weren't
But you are not you. You are not you.
We were wandering around town. You wanted to have a pancake breakfast. We found a perfect greasy spoon diner, and then I realized I was supposed to be at work in 2 minutes. And so I got into a cab, and then you had a little boat trailer without a boat. So you couldn't take the cab with me. We agreed to meet in Union Square under the man on a horse statue in the southern end at 2 p.m.
We're taking up the whole city. Gypsies were celebrating some gypsy holiday, like the end of the world.
Good. Let's come back. So here's the question, like, what did you notice? Like, what preferences came up? Like, mine were like, I really just felt like a lot of spiraling, a lot of desire for spiraling, and really like core, we'd say like transverse movement. So not just this linear stuff, but really rounded and curling and curving. How about you guys?
The words made it choppy for me. Before it was much more seagrass, which I like. I like seagrass, so, and the words were choppy. And then Union Square, I said, oh yeah, Union Square, you know, took me to a place. So it sort of got into it. The words erased the meditative state that I have for me.
So for me, since I'm also very much, there's so much stimulation, I'm in the garden. So it was very exterior space because it's so nice to see everything. And my cats are also in the garden. So it was a lot of like a relationship during the dance. And I don't know, I kind of was trying to listen to the different qualities of the music and to feel those, you know, to respond differently to those different qualities of music without, you know, without stressing myself. But I was interested in the relationship with the music. I enjoyed the text when it came. It kind of was nostalgic for me because I live in France and I don't hear those phrases like that. I don't hear about pancake breakfasts and things like that here. So it was actually kind of nice. It brings back to a bio in a strange kind of way. So, and it's just so nice to dance freely outside. And yeah, it was a lot of spiral as well, a lot of rotations, but different qualities for different musics. And thank you for the proposition.
In the last song, I wanted to extend my sternum or bring it full, or just like I'm usually a bit like this, and I start to feel more and more like I just want to maybe show myself or be like I am and unconditionally, like, so that is, yeah, that feels good.
Yeah, nice one. Unconditional, like the unconditional love of self and shining forth. Beautiful. Yeah.
At the beginning, I was playing with the seagrass and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like move my scalp. And it was nice because I don't really do that every day. I can move everything else, but I don't do my scalp. So I was moving that way. And then when you changed the music, I felt more like what Ping said, like radiating out from the heart center and just throwing the shoulders back. But and then when the words came on, I felt myself wrapping within, and I was like wrapping and putting my left hand in right spaces, like right-sided spaces. And I was like, oh, I'm my own chiropractor, which is good because a lot of things happen during the summer solstice to the full moon that I didn't think would happen on my body. So that was very relieving.
Nice. Yeah, I also felt this like this breaking through of the front of the body, and also these like little time shifts, and there was a lot of lightness. So in terms of like the Laban stuff, lightness, time, and that would be a rhythm state, just to throw that in. When we have two effort combinations together, it's a state. If we have three, it's a drive. We talked about that a little bit last week, and these are just little salt and pepper sprinklings of theory, which whether or not it lands or it doesn't matter, because I feel like once we start talking about movement, like all the language we use is important and valuable, and like anything that we're using as tools to elaborate or even I was going to say pontificate, but I don't mean pontificate. I mean like refine the way that we speak about movement, that fine tune, hone into what is the experience, what's really going on. And I also noticed these shifts in time and this relationship to the forward backward with those shifts in time. So sometimes it's interesting to see if they're, you know, the affinities, if it's matching up with what we're doing. Like, so the affinity of time is with the forward backward. And in Laban, we talk about time when it's changing time. So something speeds up or something slows down or there's an explosive moment. And then also with the side, we affiliate side with space. And it's not affiliated with the geometric space, it's affiliated with your attention to space, your awareness of space. So something pinpointed or something global. So that expansion. And I feel like for me, like both geometric space and the space you're in is very easily accessible when we have that, the sideness, even that turning our heads in the beginning, right? We started out with that in the beginning of the whole thing, and then feeling at some point the spaciousness within. So there's a few different things. And then the up and downness, the affinity is to lightweight and strong weight. So with that, there was like that light moving forward, but also opening out. So there was horizontal. So if we put the three things together, it would be a glide. It's like when we do our cube with the efforts, which we'll come back to again. But like if I'm going across my body and I'm going up, so I'm crossing, which means it's direct space. I'm going up, which means it's lightweight, and I'm going forward, which means it's sustained time, so that I can glide my heart forward with those efforts, right? Or glide that expansion. And if I wanted to do it indirectly, which would be maybe more a seagrass glide, it would be more of a float. So there's these different ways of playing with those things. Anything else to talk about in this whole session?
I'd
Yeah.
like to add something, please. When you had, before you changed the music to, it was the same one as the first one, the second, and before you switched it, that part, I was like grasping for like the light, like as if I could catch it, and I slid off my couch like a little kid, you know, like with the back on it. And it was playful and not thought through. Then this whole like 2 months, I've been having this expression come into my mind of like growing roots, not like the hair, but like the plants. And it seems like during this time, we are kind of growing roots. And instead of just focusing on the flower, like, which was like the words, like, okay, I'm gonna be there, take the taxi, meet under this, like we're gonna have like, you know, breakfast. It's like very flower, like, see, like we're gonna be, and we're gonna see the flower. Whereas like now it's like, no, you're not gonna see anything right now. I'm growing the roots. I'm gonna check if I can grow here and check if I can grow this way. Aha, I can. And then going behind, which is, you know, it's always okay, but now it's like a discovery of, instead of just like, oh, it's past, let's not go there. No, it's past, let's go there. It's really neat to have all this free movement again, and then to articulate it with words that maybe bring out more meaning for that movement. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. Nice, Abby. And Walter, you want to say something? Did you? Oh, you had your hand up for a second and then no? All right. So let's do one more, but maybe you can move and run around or stay seated. But I think what I'm thinking is to go into a more inner exploration, so that we started inner, we went outer, and now we're coming back to inner. I mean, we did everything all the time, but let's do something with music that's very gentle. And let me see, I think I have the song on my actual, do I? Well, we can use this. We can use Anthony's music. So this is Anthony Tonis, my boyfriend, my partner. Let's use this for our internal exploration. This is flute, and you probably heard it before. If you need to go out and run around, that's fine. But otherwise, thinking of it like that inner dance, that inner snake charmer, and like charming in the sort of the, for lack of a better term, or maybe this is the Kundalini, the life force, the Shakti, the energy of being alive. Just inviting that to spiral in and up, and or shoot in and up, or go down to the ground and grow some roots, however you want to do it. Just inviting in the resource of being a human in a body, in whatever way that feels nourishing and nurturing and delicious. Letting yourself take your time or go fast, whatever feels good, but listening into the deliciousness of movement. What would feel good? That's like the tiniest, shortest little version of that song. We actually have a longer one that's 5 minutes long, but oh well. we're coming to the end of our hour, and I'm going to end a little teeny bit early today. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so fun to move with you. Go ahead, Teen.
It felt like, I don't know the word in English, but like a snake whisper, like the flute, and it was like, what is the English word for that?
It's a snake charmer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Charmer.
that is-
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that we are there. I think we've arrived. We've been there.
Thank you.
We've landed. We've taken our trip. Nice to see you all, and thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. And if you are watching this video and you've made it to the end, please like and subscribe. I hate to say that, but at the same time, we live in that world, right? All right. Nice to see you all. Have a
Thank you.
good day. Have a good evening. Bye.